When we landed, I want to be the first off the airship, to see if Kai is there. But I remember what he told me back in the burrow about blending in, so I stay in the middle of the group of girls and search for Kai in the rows and rows of black-coated boys standing before us. He's not there. Remember, the official says to the boys, treat these new villagers as you treat the others. No violence of any kind. We'll be watching and listening. No one responds. There doesn't seem to be a leader. Next to me, India shifts her weight. A girl behind us stifles a sob. Come forward to get your rations, the official says, and there's no pushing. No shoving. The boys all drift into line and file past. It must have rained last night. Their boots are thick with red clay mud. I look at each face. Some seem terrified. Some seem cunning and dangerous. None seem kind. They have all seen too much. I watch their backs, their hands as they take their supplies, their faces as they pass the official. They don't fight over food. There is some for everyone. They fill their canteens from the blue barrels of water. I'm sorting them, I realize. And then I think, what if I had to sort myself? I wonder. What would I see? What would I see someone who is going to survive? I try and look down at myself, at the girl who watches the official and the officer pack up and leave in the airship. She wears uniform clothes and looks hungrily at the faces she does not know. I look down at her tangled brown hair and the way she stands small and straight. After the officer and the official leave, the one of the boys steps forward to tell the new girls that there is no crops, that the enemy shoots every night, that the society has stopped giving out weapons, and that the weapons never worked anyways, and everyone in the camp has been sent here to die, and no one knows why. The girls stay straight and strong, and the others sink into their knees because she knew all along. She can't quit. She can't throw her hands in the air and cry tears into the dirt because she has someone to find. Alone, out of all the girls, she smiles a little. Yes, I tell myself, she's going to survive. Indy asks me for the packet. I hand it to her and she slips something from inside the tablets and hands it back. I realize I still don't know what it was that she needed to hide, but now it is not time to ask. There's another more urgent question to answer. Where's Kai? I'm looking for someone, I say it loudly. His name is Kai. Some have already begun to leave. Now the boy has finished telling us the truth. He has dark hair, blue eyes. I call out louder. He came from the city and he knows this land, too. He has the words. I wonder if he's found a way to sell them, barter them for something out here. People stare back with different color eyes, blue, brown, gray, green, and none the color of Kai's. None the blue that is quite right. You should try and rest now, the boy who told us the truth says. It's hard to sleep at night. That's when they usually fire. He seems exhausted, and I see a mini port in his hand, and he turns away. Was he the leader once? Does he keep on delivering information out of habit? Others turn away too. The apathy of the frightens me more than the situation itself. These people don't seem to know that any rebellion or rising, if no one cares anymore, if everyone is giving up, who will help me find Kai? I can't sleep, a girl from the airship says softly. What if it's my last day? At least she can talk. Some of the others seem almost catatonic with shock. I see a boy walk over to one of the girls, says something, she shrugs, looks back at us, walks away with him. My heart beats faster. Should I stop her? What will he do? Have you looked at their boots? Indy whispered to me. I nod. I've noticed the mud on them and the boots themselves thick-soled and made of rubber. They're like ours, except the sides of the soles are scarred with notches. I have an idea of what they must mean, and they must mark days survived. My heart sinks because none of the boys have very many cuts in their boots, and Kai has gone on for almost 12 weeks. The boys shuffle away. They seem to be going to the places where they sleep, minding their own business, but a few boys circle our group of girls. They look hungry. Don't snort, I tell myself. See. They have a few notches carved in their souls. They aren't apathetic yet. They still want things. They are new. They likely haven't been here long enough to know Kai. You're still sorting, I see. One has burned hands and black powder all over his boots, clear up to his knees. He stands in the back of the group. He sees me looking at his hands and he locks eyes with me, making a gesture I do not like. But I hold his gaze. I try to see. You know him, I say to the boy. You know who I'm talking about. I don't expect him to admit it, but he nods. Where is he? I ask. Dead, the boy says. You lie, I say, pushing down the rush of tears, the worry inside. But I'll listen to you when you want to tell the truth. What makes you think I'd tell you anything, he asks. You don't have much time left to talk, I say. None of us do. Andy stands next to me, her eyes on the horizon. She looks for what might come our way. Others gather near us, listening. For a moment it seems that the boys might speak, but then he laughs and turns away. But I'm not worried. I know he'll be back. I saw it in his eyes, and I'll be ready. The days pass long and short at the same time. Everyone waits and the pack of boys return, but something keeps them at a distance from our group. Perhaps it's the threat of the old leader, and stays near us, the mini-port in hand, and reports anything untowards. Do they fear the consequences if they injure us and the officer comes back? I'm eating my footwear dinner, and the other girls, when I see a burned hand boy come back towards me. I stand up and hold out for the last of my food. The portions are so small here, anyone who's been out here for long must be starving. Stupid, Indy mutters next to me, and she stands up, too. After helping each other to the airship, we seem to have become allied somehow. You're bribing me, the boy asks, venom in his voice, as he gets closer and sees my outstretched offering to the meat and carb casserole. Of course, I say. You're the only one who was there. You're the only one who knows. I could just take it, he says. I could take it, anything I want from you. You could, I say, but it wouldn't be smart. Why not, he says. Because no one else will listen to the way I will. I say, no one else wants to know. But I do. I want to know what you saw. He hesitates. The others don't want to hear about that, do they? I ask. He leans back and brushes his hands through his hair and gestures left over from another time. I think because it is short now, like all the other boys. All right, he says, but it was in a different camp, the one I was in before I came here. It might not be the same person. The Kai I know had words, like you said. What words did he have? I asked. The boy shrugs. Once that said over the dead. And what did they sound like? I asked. I don't remember much. Something about a pilot. I blinked, surprised. Kai knew the words of the Tenzin poem, too. How? And then I remember the day in the woods, when I first opened my compact. Kai told me later that he saw me. Perhaps he saw the poem, too, over my shoulder. Perhaps I whispered it out loud as I write it again and again in the woods. I smile. So we share the second poem, too. Indy looks back at the fourth between the boy and me, her eyes curious. What did he mean about the pilot, she asked. The boy shrugged. I don't know. It was something he said whenever people died. That's all. The boy began to laugh and sounded without any humor in it. But he must have been said something in those words for hours that last night. What happened the last night? There was a firing. He said no more laughter. The worst one of all. When was it? He looked down at his boots. 2 nights ago. He says, as if he can hardly believe it. Feels like it's been longer than that. You saw him that night? I say, my heart racing. As if this boy is to believe. Kai was alive and near 2 nights ago. Are you sure? You saw his face. Not his face, the boy says, his back. And his friend, Vic, ran off to left us for dead. They left us to die so they could save themselves. Only 6 of us survived. I don't know where the officers took the other 5 after they brought me here. I'm the only one in this camp. And he glances at me, her eyes questioning, asking, is it him? It doesn't seem like Kai to leave people behind, and yet it does. Seemed like Kai to find one chance in a hopeless situation and take it. So he took off in the night of the firing and left you. I can't finish my sentence. It's silent under the sky. I don't blame them, the boy says, his bitterness turning to exhaustion. I'd have done the same thing. If too many of us ran, we would have been caught. They tried to help us, showed us how to make it. Our guns would fire once so we could at least shoot back. Still, they knew that they were doing the night they left. Their timing was perfect. So many people died that night, some of them from their own guns. The society might have known who ended up Ash and who didn't. I noticed, though, I saw them. Do you know where they are now? Indy asked. Somewhere in there. He pointed towards the sandstone formation barely visible from here. Our village was over near those rocks. He called the place the Carving. He must have been desperate. In depths, in their anomalies, scorpions, flash floods still. He paused and looked up at the sky. They took this kid with them, Eli. Only 13, probably, the youngest in the group. Couldn't keep his mouth shut. What good was he to them? Why not take one of us? Is it Kai? Hope and disappointment both washed over me. But if you saw him go, why didn't you follow? I asked. I saw what happened to someone who did, the boy said flatly. He was too late. The airship gunned him down. Only the 3 of them made it in. He looked back at the Carving again, remembering. How far away is the Carving, I asked. A long run from here, he says. 25-30 miles. He raised his eyebrow at me. So you think you'll get there on your own? It rained last night. The footprints will be gone. I'd like you to help me. I say, show me where exactly he went. He grins and grin, and I don't like, but I understand. And what do I get in return? Something you can use to survive in the canyons, I say. Stolen from the medical center in the society. I'll tell you more when we get to the Carving safely. I glance over at Indy. We haven't talked about whether or not she's coming with me, but it seems like we're a team now. Fine, he says. Looks interested. But I don't want another leftover meal that tastes like foilware. Indy makes a small sound in surprise. But I know why he's not holding out. He wants to leave with us. He wants to escape too. But he won't do it alone. Not when he knows that Kai's at camp. And not he knows us as much as we need him. We won't be, I say, I promise. Well, we'll have to run all night. Can you do that? Yes, I say. I can too, Indy says, and I glance over at her. I'm coming, she says, and it's not a question. She does what she wants, and she has run for a lifetime. Good, I say. I'll come get you when it's dark and everyone's asleep, the boy says. Find somewhere to rest. There's an old store near the edge of the village. That might be the best place. The decoys who stay there won't hurt you. All right, I say. But what if there's a firing? If there's a firing, I'll come and find you after it's over. If you're not dead, did they give you a flashlight? Yes, I tell them. Bring them. The moon will help, but it's not full anymore. The moon comes up white over the back ridge, and I realize that the ridge was there all along. The thing that I had forgotten, although I could not notice the lack of stars in the space of the shade. And the stair here was like the ones in Tana, many of the sharp in the clean night air. I'll be back soon, Indy says, and before I can stop her, she slips away. Be careful, I whispered to her. Too late. She's gone. When do we usually come? One of the girls asked. We all stand together in the windows. There's no glass anymore. The wind blows through the current river, cold air that the wind to window. You never know, the boy says, his face full of recognition. You never know. He sighs. When they do come, the best place is the cellar. The village has them, some don't. Some people take their chances up here, though, another boy says. I don't like the cellars. I don't think they're right when I'm down there. They speak as though they've been here before, but when I shine my flashlight down, I see that each only have 5 or 6 notches in their boots. I'm going to stand outside, I say after a while. There's no rules against that, is there? Stay in the shadows and don't shine your light. The boy who doesn't like this cellar tells me don't draw attention if they're flying above waiting. All right, I say. And he slips through the door just as I'm leaving. I breathe a sigh of relief. She didn't run away again. It's beautiful here, she says almost conservatively, and she falls into a deep sleep next to me. She's right. If I can look past everything that's happening, the land is beautiful. The moon washes white light along the cement sidewalks, and I see the boy. He's careful. He stays in the shadows, but I know he's there. He whispers next to my ear. It doesn't surprise me, and Indy doesn't jump either. When do we go? I ask him. Now, he says, or won't make it before dawn. I follow him at the end of the town, and I see people slipping through the shadows too, doing different things with little time they have left. No one seems to notice us. Doesn't anyone try and escape, I ask. Not often, he says. What about the rebellion? I ask in the reach of the edge of the town. Does anyone here ever talk about something like that? No, the boy says flatly. We don't. He stops. Take off your coats. We stare at him. He laughs and he pulls off his coat and loops it through a strap in his pocket. We won't need it for long, he tells. It will get warm fast enough. Indy and I pull off our coats too. Our black plain clothes blend in with the night. Follow me, he says. Then we run. After a mile, only my hands are still cold. Back at the burrow, I ran barefoot in the grass and tried to help Kai. Out here, I wear heavy boots and have to run around rocks and threatening to turn my ankles, and yet I feel lighter than I did back then. Lighter by far than I ever felt running on smooth belt and the trekker. I'm filled with adrenaline and hope. I could run forever this way, running to Kai. We pause to drink, and I feel icy water thread through me. The trace of the exact path down my throat to my stomach. I trail the cold makes me shudder once before I twist my lid back into the canteen. But too soon I start to tire. I trip on the rock and dodge a bush too late, and it sinks its teeth, its prickly seed, into my clothes and my leg. My feet crunch in the frost. And luckily there's no snow, but the air is desert cold, and the sharp of the thin cold in the tracks into the thinking you aren't thirsty because your breath is drinking the ice. When you reach up, I touch my lips, they are dry. I don't look back at my shoulder to see anyone chasing us. I swoop through the night, hover over my shoulders, and we have enough to watch out for straight ahead. The moon gives us sufficient light that we can see, but we risk the flashlights now, and then we come to the shadowy place. The boy turns to us and swears. I forgot to look up, he says. When I do, I see that the struggle to avoid little ravaged sharp-edged rocks and begun to turn. You're tired, Indy says to the boy. Let me lead. I can do it, I say. Wait, Indy, let me. Her voice tight and tired. I think you might be the only one who'll have enough left to run us in at the end. I close catch on tough spiky bushes and the sharp smell of the air and the distinct dry. Could it be sage? I wonder. Kai's favorite smell from home. Miles on, we stop running in a line. We run side by side. It was inefficient, but we need each other too much. We all fallen. We all bleed. The boy's injured. His shoulder, Indy's leg, is scraped, and I fell into a small ravine and my body feels battered. So we run so slow we almost walk. A marathon, Indy breathes. That's what you would call a run like this. I heard the story about it. Can you tell it to me? I ask her. You don't want to hear it. I do. Anything to keep my mind off the hard this is, as far as we still have to go. Even though we draw closer to any steeps, and all begin to feel too many. I can't believe Indy can talk. The boy and I both stopped miles ago. It was at the end of the world. The message had to be delivered. She breathed hard, and the words grow choppy. Someone ran to deliver it. 26 miles like us. He made it, gave the message, and then they reward him, I say in my breath. No, an airship came down and saved him. No, she said, he delivered the message and then he died. I start to laugh, which isn't good for saving breath, and Indy laughs too. I told you that you wouldn't want to hear it. At least the message got through, I say. I guess, Indy answers. She glances over at me, and a small smile still on my face. I see what I have mistaken for coldness and actually warmth. And there's a fire in Indy that keeps her alive and moving even in a place like this. The boy coughs and spits. He's been out here longer than we have. He sounds weak. We stop talking. A few miles still out from the carving, the air smells different. Not clean like the plant smell from earlier, but dark and smoky, like burning. It also looks across the land, and I think I see glimmers of embers, shifting to the light and the bits of the amber orange under the moon. I notice another scent in the night, one that I didn't know well, but I think I might be death. None of us say anything, but smell keeps us running, and almost nothing else would, and a little while we didn't breathe deep. We run forever. I say the words from the poem over and over to the beat of my feet, and it almost sounds like someone else's voice. I don't know where to find the air and to keep getting the words wrong. From our burn, death, and the space of the flood will wash me far from I don't even matter. I never knew that the words might not matter. Are you saying that for us? The boy grasps out, and the first time he's spoken in hours. We aren't dead, I say. No, dead feels like this tired. We are here, the boy says, and he stops, and I look where he points, and I see a small group of boulders. Will be difficult, but not impossible to climb down. We made it. The boy doubles over in exhaustion. Indy and I look at each other and reach to touch the boy's shoulder, thinking he's ill, but he straightens up. Let's go, I say. I'm not sure why he waits. I'm not coming with you, he says. I'm taking that canyon instead. He points back to the carving. Why? I ask. Indy says. How do you know we can trust you? How do we know that this is the right canyon? The boy shakes his head. That's the one, he says, holding us out his hand in the pavement. Hurry, it's almost morning. He speaks softly, without feeling, and that's what convinces me he's telling the truth. He's far too tired to lie. Enemy didn't end up firing tonight. People will realize we're gone. That might report it in the mini-port. We have to get to the canyons. Come with us, I say. No, he says. He looks up at me and I see he needs us to run. And it's once that would be too hard to do alone. Now, for whatever reason, he wants to take his own path. He whispers, please. I reach into my pack and pull out the tablets. It's an unwrap them and hand him a clumpy cold. Even the sweet trickles down my back. He looks behind him and at where he wants to be, and when it comes with us, but it's his choice. Here, I say, holding half of the tablets. He looks down at them, sealed them in a little compartment, and the backing of each tablet nearly labeled blue, 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 blue. And he laughs. Blue, he says, a little harder, all blue. And then, as if he brought the color into being and saying it, we'll notice the sky turn to morning. Take some, I say. Moving closer to him, I see sweet frozen in the end of the too short hair. Frosted his eyelashes, he shudders and puts on his coat. Take some, I say, again. No, he says, pushing my hands away. The tablets fall to the ground and I cry out, dropping to my knees, picking them up. The boy pauses. Maybe one or two, he says. I see his hands dart down. He snatches his pocket to break away into little squares. Before I can stop him, he throws the rest back at me and turns to run. But I have others, I call after him. He helps us get here before I could give him the green to calm. Or the red, he could forget the long awful run and the scent of his friend's death. So we pass the burning village and I should give him both. I open my mouth, call out again, but we never knew his name. Indy has not moved. We have to go after him, I say, urging her. Come on. Number 19, she says softly, and what she says doesn't make sense to me until I follow her gaze to see past the boulders and beyond the now visible carving up close with the light of the first time. Oh, I whisper, oh. The words change. The world changes here. Before the land of canyons and chimes, the gashes and the gorges, The land of the shadows and shade rises in the fall in the red and blue and the green, very little green. Indy's right, the sky lightens, and I see the jagged stones gripping the canyon, the carving. It does remind me of a painting Alexander gave me. But the carving is real. The world is much bigger than I thought it was. And we descend in the carving with the miles of mountains and acres of the valley with the cliffs and the carvings, and with the vanish almost entirely, and we will become almost nothing. I think suddenly of this time in second school, back before we began to specialize, when they showed us diagrams of our bones and the bodies and told us how fragile we were, how easily we could break and become ill without the society. I remember seeing pictures of our white bones when we actually filled with red blood and marrow. I think I didn't know I had this inside me. I didn't know the earth had this inside it. The carving seemed so wide as the sky and stands under. It was the perfect place for someone like Kai to hide. An entire rebellion could take cover in this place like this. I began to smile. Wait, I say, and Indy moves and climbs to the boulders into the carving. Well, it will be sunrise in a few minutes. I'm greedy. I want to see more. She shakes her head. We have to be inside before it gets light. Indy's right. I take my one final look at the boy growing smaller, moving faster than I thought he could. I wish I had thanked him before he left. I climb down inside. Indy scrambles into the canyon. As we hope Kai went only 2 days ago, away from the society in Alexander, from my family, from my life. I knew I always away from the boy who led us here, from the light that creeps across the land, turning the sky blue and the stone red, the light that could get us killed.